After a season of underachieving on the court and under-agreeing away from it, the most expected move of the NBA season has finally happened. Stan Van Gundy is out as head coach of the Orlando Magic. Otis Smith out as the team's GM. Skip, who do you blame for the mess in Orlando?
Stan Van Gundy.
Wow.
Now, Stephen A., obviously I can blame Otis Smith for a series of just inexplicably bad moves, crescendoing with Gilbert Arenas. You traded for Gilbert, and what he owed $62 million. But I thought the beginning of the end was the way that Stan Van Gundy began to publicly ridicule Dwight Howard. Stan wanted to be a celebrity coach. He wanted to be the face of the franchise. I thought for 2 or 3 years post their NBA Finals run, Stephen A., the media gave Stan a pass because the media loved Stan, and I don't blame the media for loving Stan. He was great sound bites. He filled reporters' notebooks. He was very accessible to the media. He loved being that guy, celebrity coach. And he also loved taking little pot shots at Dwight Howard. He loved deflecting blame onto Dwight and on the rest of his players in post-game rants that the media found funny or sort of amusing in a warm-hearted way, like it was just Stan being Stan. And I didn't like it. I never liked it. If I were Dwight Howard, I wouldn't have liked it. And what had to happen finally happened. They kept Dwight, obviously, and I believe, and we'll talk about this in just a moment, I believe that Dwight does want to stay in Orlando, and they got rid of the number one problem in the franchise, Stan Van Gundy.
First of all, Skip, I believe you're wrong. That's number one. Let's just get that out the way first. Not to say that Stan Van Gundy should be completely absolved from blame or guilt, because he shouldn't. He mishandled several situations. He opened his mouth entirely too much. He spoke out of turn by diming out upper management when he told the media that Dwight Howard wants him fired, and upper management told him so. That alone, I knew that he would not be back next season the moment he opened his mouth and said that. So it was a foregone conclusion. I'm not surprised that he's been dismissed. It is what it is. However, Stan Van Gundy's a man that won 65% of his game. I believe his record was 259, 135. He went to an NBA Finals. He went to a couple of Eastern Conference Finals. He had a myriad of 50-win seasons. This year, he won 37 games in his truncated 66-game season. The man can coach. He knows X's and O's. He knows the game. I do agree with Alex Martins, the CEO for the Orlando Magic, when he says there's more to coaching than just X's and O's. He's absolutely right about that. But part of it is where the real problem lies, and that's with Alex Martins, because he came in there as the CEO, as the guy that was suddenly in charge of everything. He immediately undermined and usurped the authority of Stan Van Gundy and GM Otis Smith in this Dwight Howard sweepstakes kind of thing. They wanted him moved because they know deep down he doesn't really want to be there. He loves the city of Orlando. He loves the fans, but he doesn't want to be there anymore. He wants to move on. He told them this prior to the season. He believed that they would get rid of him prior to the season once the lockout had ended. Because they didn't do so, it put him in a precarious position where clearly there were some maturity issues as it pertains to how Dwight Howard should have handled that. What I'm saying to you is, when you got a CEO that's doing everything, I mean, this dude is doing everything but going to the toilet for Dwight Howard. He's schmoozing with mama. Don't even get me started with the father. And then on top of it all, not only is he doing that, but he's sitting there and he's telling Dwight Howard and making all of these promises he can't possibly or conceivably, fulfill. You are a significant part of the problem, because what you're showing is that the asylum has run amok. It's out of control. It's not Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard didn't come out. Yes, that's what you're showing. Because as the CEO, you can't sit there and usurp the authority of your head coach or GM that way. You've got to be discreet. You've got to make sure that you handle things in a very discreet and professional manner. His handling of this whole situation is what exacerbated the situation because it riled Stan Van Gundy. It really just diminished Otis Smith to the point where it was hard for him to come to work every day. And it made the situation so chaotic that Dwight Howard said, I don't want to be here regardless of who's coaching or who's running the show because this is just too chaotic for me to handle.
Okay, time out. You're telling me that the new CEO has run off the coach and run off the GM, as I think he should have.
Yes.
I think we agree on that. And he still has Dwight Howard. And he still has a chance to keep Dwight Howard. And you say, there's no way he can fulfill. How do you know he can't fulfill these promises? Maybe he'll go get a better GM. Maybe he'll go get a better coach. And look, time out on Stan. Stan made the playoffs 7 straight years, but he also, remember, he had Dwight Howard. And when they got to the NBA Finals, I'm not going to give this up, even though our guy Israel Gutierrez said that he defended Stan on this a little bit, that maybe it was more of an organizational decision. But remember when he forced Jameer Nelson back into the rotation for Game 1 of the NBA Finals against Kobe's Lakers?
Yes,
it was a disaster.
in favor of Rafer Alston. In favor of Rafer Alston, yes, I know that.
It was a disaster. He blew up his chemistry that got them there. And I can't forgive Stan for that. I thought Orlando had a real shot against the Lakers, but not after that. And I don't know if we can blame Stan totally for that.
Listen, I have a more forgiving soul than you do, so I can forgive Stan for that.
Well,
especially since I
forget
didn't
that?
consider. Well, let me finish. Especially since I never thought Orlando had a chance against that Lakers team to begin with. It was never an issue to me. I knew they were going to get ramrodded by the Lakers. I didn't care whether Jameer Nelson was in the lineup or was it Rafer Alston. Didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number
Yeah,
one.
easy for you to say
But
now.
number two, it's easy to say it now, but I said it then. Number two, and more importantly, again, what Alex Martin did, yeah, you got rid of the coach. Yeah, you got rid of the GM. I'm not even saying he was wrong to do so. I'm saying he created this chaotic environment. He did that. And the promises that he made to Dwight Howard were not, according to my sources, just limited to the game of basketball in terms of getting the right players to play around you or anything like that. Had a lot of off-the-court promises. In other words, you don't have to go to Brooklyn. You don't have to go to L.A. You don't have to go to Chicago. I can do this, this, and that for you right here. Those kind of promises. And all I'm telling you is he created a lot of the stuff that's going on that exacerbated the situation and made grown men turn into petulant children even more. Because Stan Van Gundy should have never spoken out of turn about what upper management told him. But at the same time, upper management should have never went to Stan Van Gundy. If you're not trying to get rid of him, why would you go to him and tell him, oh, the kid is trying to get you fired? They were trying to take their own selves off the hook and cover their own backsides. And it's going to burn them. Mark my words.
Okay, and mark mine. I don't think the inmates are running the asylum. I think the new warden is running the asylum, and I like it.